Welcome to the first episode of Dogmatic Media. I am your host, Jay.
And I'm Briana, your co-host.
And on this episode, we'll be talking The Last Jedi.
Yep.
We will have some DVD reviews from our boss and
movie buff
James. And we'll also, you and I, have some Netflix originals to discuss.
Yes, we do.
I'll let you go first. Here you go. What did
So
you
I
watch?
started watching Dark.
Okay, I've seen that.
A little odd.
The German Stranger Things.
Yeah, basically. Stranger Things meets Donnie Darko meets some sort of crime show. I don't even know. I had to get over the, dubbing of...
That's really makes it hard to watch.
Because obviously it's originally in German.
It's in German, and they have voiceover instead of subtitles, and it's very, very off-putting.
I mean, so once you get through that, everything else is pretty catching. I mean, you go from time travel...
I just feel like this whole flashback to the 80s, and let's nostalgia this and all that.
80s,
No, I get it, but it's been done so many times. Over it.
But it's been done in your generation, not in my generation.
Oh, here we go
as
with
much.
the old jokes. Really.
I'm just saying.
My generation.
Well,
I grew up in the 80s. I was actually there in the 80s.
Whatever.
It sucked back then, and it sucks now.
Whatever.
Sorry.
Fine, then what are you watching that's so great?
Well, it wasn't great. I watched Bright.
Okay.
It's with Will Smith and a bunch of other people. I have no idea. It's like a Lord of the Rings meets Lethal Weapon.
Okay.
It got some iffy reviews when I watched it once, and I kind of dug it, and then I watched it again for a second time, and I was just, I don't know. I can't.
Scale 1 to 13.
On a scale of 1 to 13, probably in the low 5. Maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
That bad?
I don't know. It's just the same. It's like a cop buddy movie, and that whole genre's been done to death. But they go literally by the book of a cop movie.
Okay.
Like the whole I'm about to retire in 5 years, and I hope nothing bad happens to me, and you get shot in the chest. And
yeah.
The social commentary in this movie is just hit you. They hit you over the head with it with like a hammer. It's awful. It's just like there's racism, and I watch these things to escape.
I shouldn't bother watching it. I mean, I'm a horror buff anyways, but in general.
It's I wouldn't even say it's horror. It's just fantasy and magic wands and elves, and it's just
I did not get that from the thumbnail.
Really?
Really.
Well, you should watch the trailer or watch the movie if you want.
Maybe.
It's just I don't know.
Well, if it's that bad, should I waste my time?
Yes, you should.
Really?
Yes.
Well, you know what's better?
Maybe eat some edibles, smoke a little something, sit back, and
I could totally do that.
fall asleep after the first 45 minutes. It's good. That'll be good for you.
Well, you know who has a lot of opinions though?
Who's that?
Our movie buff James.
That he does.
He really.
Quite a few opinions.
Yeah, you know how he is with his physical media, his obsession with
I'm
Blu Ray.
like that too, though.
No,
this
he's
whole
great.
digital thing. No, I want a hard copy in my hand.
See, I come again from a different generation, but
millennials.
He's honestly helping me so much appreciate physical media.
Right.
And he taught me the difference between Blu-ray and regular DVD, why it's better. But yeah, he's talking about a few good movies apparently.
All right, well,
So
we'll
let's
hear
bring
from him.
one. All right.
Let's
What's up, Internet? This is James, founder of It Came From The 508. I'm a huge movie buff and a collector of physical media. I'm going to show you guys what's going on out new and available right now. So first up, Victor Crowley. Let me tell you something about Victor Crowley. I loved this movie. I thought it was fantastic. For all the media that's out there saying that it is a reboot, that is a load of horseshit. It is not a reboot. This is absolutely Hatchet 4, and it is all the better for it. Kane Hodder comes back. Best part about the movie, hands down, his physicality, what he brings to the role. It's easily the funniest of all the Hatchet movies, which was a personal thing for me. I was a little worried at the beginning that it was erring on the side of parody with where it was going, but kind of brought it back after that. Don't want to spoil too much. The cast was stellar. Parry Shen as he comes back as usual. If you're a fan of this film, you know who he is. And brings him and all of his girls screaming glory. If I had to say there was a negative to the film, it's that it's a Hatchet movie. If you're not into Hatchet, This movie's not gonna make you get into Hatchet. This is Adam Green hitting his stride with the film. It's over the top in every way, shape, or form. If after the first 3 films didn't convince you, this one's not gonna do it for you either. However, for me, being a huge horror fan, this is my thing. It continues the slasher legacy in all of its glory perfectly. That being said, if you're not into it, you ain't gonna get into it from this one. If I was gonna score it, out of 13, I would have to give it a 10. Only because the extras are fantastic. It's got a great interview with Adam. It's got an absolutely the best, most raw behind the scenes reel I've seen in a very long time. And it's only $13. Can't really go wrong there. Next up, Blade Runner 2049. Okay. This movie was absolutely the best film that Ryan Gosling's been in ever. Mostly because Ryan Gosling mostly makes bullshit.
You're a baby.
However, his acting, for as much as I usually hate it, really played out well because he was actually playing a robot, so his robotic and stiff performance worked out for him. Harrison Ford, continuing his old grumpy revival of all of his 80s characters. Guys, could you shut up? He did as best as he could to convince people he wasn't phoning it in for the money. He was mostly there for the money, I'm assuming. And it was not bad. But yeah, Jared Leto, holy shit. This movie ran about 2.5 hours. It probably should have ran about 2 hours, mostly just cutting out all the things that Jared Leto did. It was awful. The real surprise of Blade Runner 2049 was Dave Bautista. Yes, Drax the Destroyer, and turning in an actual good dramatic role. Blew my mind. Can't explain it. The visual quality of this film is totally up to par anything Ridley Scott's ever done. And really, the thing that really drives this particular release home, the extras. This thing's got a million little 1 to 2 minute anecdotes about the backstory of Blade Runner, explanations on things, there's a making of featurette, and the best part about it is, on top of all of that, there's 3 short films set between the original Blade Runner in 2019 and the new Blade Runner in 2049 that fill in the gaps of what brought the world to where it is in the sequel. Out of 13, I'm gonna give this one an 11 because it's only $20. You get a hell of a lot of value for that $20, and it's just a really cool film. Without Jared Leto. Lastly, this. I can't read that. That's Day of the Dead Bloodline. I can't in any good conscience suggest this film to literally anyone. It is meant to be the now second remake of George Romero's revered film Day of the Dead. However, it plays a hell of a lot more like Single White Female. And that Single White Female is a zombie. Yeah, roll that around your fucking head for a second. Because I sure as hell can. He stalks a woman as a zombie. That's the plot. That is the plot of this film. If there was anything redeemable about this film, I would say that it was that the makeup effects were actually really well done. However, they relied so much on throat bite gags, I thought I was watching a really ugly vampire movie. This movie is genuinely a smear on the legacy of the guy that pretty much defined independent cinema. And as a fellow independent filmmaker, I just have to say, fuck you to whoever came up with this film. Fuck you, you're an asshole. Plain and simple, this movie is a toilet. This movie played on so many derivative tropes. It ripped off The Walking Dead. It ripped off Single White Female. The single white female being a zombie. Roll that around in your goddamn skull for a second. It ripped off shit, it just ripped off so many different little things. This guy was supposed to be so obsessed with this girl that he went through the grave stalking her. Even like carving her name into his arm all cheesy like that fucking Mark Wahlberg train wreck from the 90s Fear. It was absolute turd. The extras on the DVD or Blu Ray, it's a combo pack, but the extras on the Blu Ray are a fucking joke. The making of featurette plays like a QVC infomercial. It's fucking terrible. That and it's out of all these, it was the most expensive DVD in all the three that I'm showing you tonight. It was a pile of shit. Out of a possible 13, it's gonna get a 2. Worst film I've seen in a long fucking time. Well, guys, that is it for me. If you guys have any differing opinions, you don't agree with me, you think our show sucks, bump down right there underneath, give us a comment, let us know what you think. I'm gonna go back to Jay and Bree. See you later.
And now it is time for our main event segment on The Last Jedi. Bree, do the honors.
And today we have Bob Mendel and we have Paul Turgeon, and they will be debating their opinions on The Last Jedi. This should be interesting.
Ding, ding, ding.
First of all, Bob, where do you stand on the whole Last Jedi debate?
I enjoyed it, and I think...
What is wrong with you?
I knew that was coming. I really liked it. I mean, it's a continuation of a story. People seem to think that it's a standalone movie for some reason, and they get all
Huffy,
all upset that their plan of what it should have been is not how it is, and unfortunately, they're not the writer. So there's that.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that one. Paul, you're on the opposite side of this Star Wars fence?
Complete opposite.
and why is that?
Let's hear it.
Why? Well, where do we start? I mean,
Start from the beginning.
What's the biggest thing that makes you not like the movie?
there was a lot of things. A lot of the characters to me seemed like throwaway characters. Like, oh, we don't want that one. 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 With no explanation. My thing is with this movie, there's no explanation of anything.
Yeah.
I
didn't like that.
They kill off people. No explanation about who they are, where they came from. Then you have people who are, in it, and it's like, oh, well, there is no story behind that person. She's just,
she's just
she's
there.
nobody. So that, along with a lot of other stuff like, just like Luke Skywalker, for instance, I think they did him a huge injustice in that movie.
When did he become Superman? Is what I wanted. When did Luke Skywalker turn into Superman?
What do you mean,
Superman? The scene where the rebels or whatever they're called now is in like the cave.
The resistance in the cave.
And they're not the Sith and they're not whatever they are now.
The
First Order.
Yes.
Right? When they come and they block out the entrance, and here comes Luke to kill his nephew.
Okay, but what
and
do you
they
mean?
like blow all kinds of shit out of him.
Because he's a hologram.
He wasn't technically
there.
That's why.
He wasn't there.
Did you
not get that?
He was
It's kind of
projecting himself there.
It's kind of hard to
Force
hate
projecting.
a movie when you didn't even understand it.
I thought you could only force project when you were already deceased, though.
No,
Isn't that how Yoda?
Well,
came back?
I mean, it's not technically
how
in the rules.
Obi-Wan
that's
came back?
there's force projecting and then there's a force ghost. There's two separate things. Force projection
Why
is
have we never heard of force projection
because
till now?
Because honestly, until now,
because they didn't have the technology to do it.
Y'all are getting way too serious about it.
Until now, no one did it.
Again, I see your point. Another thing, stupid to me.
And Leia like breathing in space or being alive in the vacuum of space, how does that
She's
happen?
got force power. She's
So
not
when
a
you have
Jedi,
the force, you
but she's
don't
got
have to-
force power.
Okay.
That she's force sensitive. I wouldn't say she has force power. She's force sensitive. She's never trained as a Jedi.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's fine.
So how come
You can be force
but
sensitive.
how come trained Jedis? Great, if there's the vacuum of space, she still survived with no air. How come in Episode 1,
Yep.
Qui-Gon or whatever his name is,
Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon had the
uses
little
that mouth
breathing
thing.
thing underwater.
Right. Exactly.
Honestly, I couldn't tell.
Exactly. Another one
Very
of those.
I'm not in any
Very
way saying that.
inconsistent.
I'm not in any way saying this movie's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
There are inconsistencies that I even am not too sure about. For instance, like the whole slowest chase scene ever in space. I that right there to me could have been explained a little bit better.
It was just no. It was just to drag out the movie.
No, you're right.
Something
You're
else.
right.
When it's like they could have easily destroyed them with no issue, but they chose not to
Well,
because it didn't fit the story. So they we'll just have them chase them.
My biggest thing is everyone wants to nitpick this and that, but really the only knowledge of the Force and what they can and cannot do is what they tell us. The writers are the ones that dictate this stuff. Who's to say that Luke, who is now training a group of people in the Jedi temple that he went to, right? Mm-hmm. Who's to say he's not more advanced in the Force than Qui-Gon Jinn, who was just training one Padawan, who, by the way, they didn't even want to give him in the first place. You know what I mean?
I mean...
So who's to say Luke doesn't know more about the Force and is more knowledgeable about what he can and cannot do than Qui-Gon Jinn?
So does that...
And who's to say that Leia isn't stronger with the Force than Qui-Gon Jinn, even though he's a Jedi and trained to be a Jedi?
All right, I'll stop you right here. I see Paul making some faces, and I want to hear his opinion.
You're making assumptions that have never been explained.
You guys are making assumptions too.
And when you do that, okay, you're like, well, supposedly, maybe, what if? It's like, no. If that was the case, we would have seen something in the other movies to give that idea.
That's not true.
You know? To you, it's not true. But if you look, it's like they're trying to rewrite the whole fucking thing.
Well, they are rewriting. It's different writers.
But you can't change the whole fucking
Well, it is on by
You can't
Disney
make up your own
now,
new
right?
rules about it, though. You
That's
can't do that.
Okay,
It is
is
a very
it more
Disney? It is a very
Oh, here we go
very
with the Disney.
Disney.
I didn't see
Question,
Mickey
though.
Mouse running around,
Okay.
so I
It's
really
very hokey.
Okay, the last one
all
was
the
Disney
guys.
as well, though, too, right? And a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah, it
people
was
like
owned
that
by-
one. What
And
was
wasn't
Rogue
as
One
bad.
was also by Disney, and every friggin' person dies.
But
So there's that.
Rogue One.
they were supposed to die,
Actually, no, they didn't have to die.
but it didn't matter that they did die.
No, it didn't matter.
That's
You're
the
right.
thing.
You're right.
Okay.
Do you think Disney is a good step?
Absolutely. I think Disney owning them and having Star Wars movies coming out is better than not having any Star Wars.
Yeah, only if you're not gonna fuck up the story. You know,
And
if you're not gonna fuck up the whole Star Wars universe.
Again, people that all of us, right? We grew up with Star Wars. We love the characters. We love it, and we all had these ideas of what if they did continue the story. Because I know I did too. I always thought Luke Skywalker was going to be this badass. He's going to do all this crazy shit. But then they said it 30 years later because they waited so freaking long to do it. So they probably thought about, all right, these characters are so old, but we still want the same. You know, they want to honor those characters and let them still play their roles. So they're like, we'll set it 30 years ahead. You know, and so he can't do the kick-ass shit that he really could do unless they CGI'd the whole thing. And they didn't want to do that because the fans complained about that. If it's too CGI, they would have bitched about that. The fans will literally find anything to bitch about. They could have literally took your script, whatever you wrote, and you'd still find something to bitch about. It's true.
I didn't mind The Force Awakens. I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was bad. It was like right in between.
But the fans bitched about that.
But I didn't. We're not talking about them. We're talking about me. We're talking about you. I thought that movie was okay. I thought that Rogue One. I liked Rogue One a lot more. But this one,
I didn't.
This one, as soon as it opened up, and he took that lightsaber and he just.
Yeah,
I was like, this ain't my Star Wars.
I do agree.
This ain't Star Wars.
I do agree with
way
that.
too much comedy.
Was a little too much comedy.
way
And
too much
honestly,
comedy.
if it was supposed to be picking up from exactly the same point that they left off, like she was like the steps were wrong, his hood was already off, like they messed that whole walk up scene. You know what I mean? But I agree. There was a little bit of humor that I didn't think was in the right spots. Like for for instance. But everyone was like, "Oh, all the other jokes." It's like there was always comedy.
But
in Star Wars.
it wasn't so uncomfortable though.
And
The
so
comedy
good.
in The Last Jedi was just cringeworthy.
Right.
It was. It was just like, oh, that was supposed to be a joke.
Right. It was very blatant, and there was no
Right.
subtlety in it. At
No,
all.
not at all.
At least
It's
when
like,
you had Han Solo in the first movies, it was very subtle.
yeah.
The way he delivered the
I-
lines.
other than
he
the
played it.
lightsaber thing, I don't really know what you guys are talking about.
The very beginning with, I don't know what his name is, the pilot.
On the
Rebellion.
Poe Dameron.
When he's trying to talk to the.
Yeah, that's the exact same thing that Han Solo did in the trash compactor. Oh yeah, where everything's good here. You're gonna really try to say it is.
But there was a level of it was natural to that line. That was all from what I know. When he said that wasn't scripted. That was all something that he made up right on the spot,
Wow.
and it worked.
Yeah.
It worked.
It did
And
work.
It was funny, but at the same time, it came out naturally. And all the comedy in The Last Jedi, it just seems to me like, they have to redo it a couple times because, like, oh yeah, you weren't just on the money with that comedy right there.
And he's on the con with the First Order, and he's making your mama jokes. I mean, it really.
No.
You know what I mean?
Every comedy.
There were some things that were like jokes, like that were something that we would get, like the brushing the shoulder off thing. It's like, all right, so you're telling me in a galaxy far away, a long time ago, he knows how to brush your shoulder off. You know what I mean? Like, I get that stuff. Like, they're still trying to cater to younger kids too.
No,
you know what I mean? But they have to still make these movies for kids. It's not just for us 40-year-old grown men that still think that we know how this should go.
Yeah, but
you know
the
what I mean?
original Star Wars were made when we were kids, and I love them.
They were made for us. We were kids.
But I can
We
still,
were kids.
But I can still watch them now.
Of course you
It's
can, for
very-
nostalgia. Of course you can. You know?
That whole 80s nostalgia thing again.
Yeah, it's a nostalgia thing. Of course, it's Star Wars. Well, the Star Wars trilogy, the original trilogy, are my favorite movies of all time. All time. I mean, if I had to pick one, of course, it's Empire.
Mm-hmm.
This is getting the same negative treatment that Empire did when it came out. Literally.
Empire,
the same
but
thing.
the difference is Empire's a good movie.
Yeah, but you're saying that now. But then people
I
are
am
saying
never
the same
gonna
thing.
say. I am never gonna say
Empire
that
was
the Last Jedi.
was very dark.
This was a dark movie.
No,
This was not.
even
There was nothing dark.
close.
The whole time I was just like, this is silly.
The
Silly.
only thing dark that could have been was where you thought that chick was like turning on the rebellion, and oh no, she's not. And then you're like, oh, okay.
No one ever thought she was turning on the rebellion. That was not even a
But
thought
that
crossed my
just
mind.
brings up another point.
Where
Okay.
did she come from?
Why didn't she tell Poe what the situation was? Okay, like this is what we're doing. No, she doesn't tell Poe what the situation
Oh, you
is.
talk about Holdo?
Yes.
Yeah.
She doesn't tell him what the situation. So he goes off on this journey to do all this stuff going against what she said. Don't do it. This and that. When it's like all that could have been avoided if she would have just told him the plan. What was the point of not telling him? What was the point? There was no point. You want to know why? You want to know why? Because they did it on purpose. Put a strong female role into the movie, telling strong male role what to do.
No.
That's exactly what they did.
I'm not touching this.
But in
you
general,
can't-
Star
you
Wars
can't-
has so many strong female characters.
But the way they did it, the way they did it in this one, they did it
It's
in an
forced.
obvious way.
It was
Like,
forced.
like again, like the comedy. Oh, here it is. She's a strong woman character. So what they did, they shoved it in your face. Here it is, and
They've always had strong
the only-
females as the leaders of that.
but
Mon
they did
Mothma,
it. But
strong female.
The
She
reason
was-
why
you
they
know
didn't
what I mean?
have her tell
Right.
Poe what was going on was because no, she's freaking defiant and all this. Can't tell you, even though there's no actual reason why she can't tell him.
They never say the reason why, but I assumed the reason why was because he already did what they thought was a screw up
They needed
by
to-
having all those pilots die in the bombing.
Oh my God!
You know?
He saved the day.
He saves the day. All of the bombers blow up except for one,
He
Alright.
still,
and then that blows up with the dreadnought.
he still saved the day. Okay.
All right.
honestly, I'm 23, so I don't get the nostalgia factor. I'm not that geeky. I'm a horror lover through and through, but you guys have made it so much more fun to actually care about.
I mean,
But honestly, at the end of the day, scale 1 to 13, what would you guys say?
In my opinion, a 1 to 13, I'd give it a 9.
A 9, okay.
I'd give it a 9.
Paul?
I'll give it a 5.
A 5.
Hey,
I'll give it
that's
a 5.
not that
I'll
bad.
give it a 5.
That's
Out of
not that
13.
bad.
I'm also taking into accountability, you know, the visuals, the audio, all that stuff. It was
Yeah.
great visually, you
It
know.
was very
So I can't complain about that.
I mean,
That was good to me. So it gets a 5.
again, I'm not in any way saying it's a perfect movie. It's not. There are things that I'm like, I would have done this better. Like, for instance, they really dropped the ball with Leia. All right, we know she passed on. We know that. You know, I agree. The space scene was a little kind of not real. The Mary
stupid.
Poppins thing.
Stupid.
You know, it was kind of dumb. Because once she got blown out into space. By the way, if you're watching this, we're spoiling everything. So we probably should have said that in the beginning.
So I think where I think they dropped the ball was the Snoke character.
The
I
Snoke.
think they let him die way too soon, and there was no explanation. Like, have they even mentioned?
He's a throwaway character.
Have they even mentioned the word Sith? In these new
they have
movies at
not
all?
actually. They have not.
There's no Sith.
Yeah.
I mean, Kylo,
well, actually,
Kylo
no.
Ren.
He does mention Sith when he's trying to talk her into joining him. He goes, "Forget the Jedi, forget the Sith." You know what I mean? He does mention it
So
there.
then Snoke is not.
But we
a
don't.
Sith Lord. Then.
We never heard
No one
the
knows.
fact that he was a Sith Lord.
And I
What
always
his
thought
deal
all
was.
Sith Lords had Darth in front of their.
That's another thing.
And it's
Like
just Kylo Ren and Snoke.
Kylo Ren
I
and
don't know.
Snoke,
So
yeah.
what happened
So-
to the Sith? Are the Sith gone? Or the Sith?
I couldn't
around?
tell. I mean, as far as I know, the
That's
last
where I really-
Sith was Vader.
Right, that's
You
where
know?
I really think they dropped the ball on that whole thing.
Yeah.
Because Snoke could have been, like when he first came out in Force
Yeah.
Awakens, he could have been a really interesting.
I personally think
Central character to
Snoke
these
should have
movies.
gone further,
Right.
but I don't agree with everyone's like, oh, I need to know where this one comes from. I need all the entire backstory
Well, they
of
gotta
everyone.
give something.
You know what I mean?
Maybe not a whole
Yeah,
subplot
but
of where
like
he came from, but they gotta give something.
you know, they're like, oh, I don't know anything about Snoke. It's like you didn't know anything about the Emperor either until the prequels. You know what I mean? They did the prequels and they told his story, but you just knew he was an Emperor.
Well, no,
you knew he was
another-
a Dark Lord of the Sith. That's all you knew.
Another throwaway
You didn't even know
character-
his name was Darth Sidious until the prequels.
That's right.
Another throwaway character, which was more light was supposed to be shed on her in this movie, was Captain Phasma.
Yeah.
And she was in the movie for like 5 seconds, and then supposedly she's dead now. We
Well,
don't really
she's
know.
in my
But it's
opinion,
like,
she's
what's
not
the
dead.
point? What is the point?
Yeah.
Why did they put her in at all? Like,
Yeah. I do think they dropped the ball with Phasma. It's a
Yeah.
very cool character, and she looks awesome. And the fighting stuff she does do, and they show in the movie, in this movie especially, like it's cool. But then she gets a
She
kind of a
would've
crappy death.
she
You know what
would
I
have
mean?
made a great, strong female role without it being forced.
Yeah.
Okay,
No, I
would have been
agree.
great.
I agree with that.
But
Well, let's check your notes. Make sure you get all your bullet
well, no,
points.
but speaking of the female roles, we also got Rose.
Yeah.
Again, I would say she was a useless character in this whole movie.
I didn't think she was
Absolutely
useless because everyone talks about how the Canto Bight trip had no point, and I agree, it didn't really get them anywhere because they ended up screwing up in the end.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole what I've been
At
reading,
least we can agree that whole thing was
Oh,
just
yeah,
like
that
filler in the movie.
it kind of was, but it kind of wasn't
Did
because
nothing.
because basically what I've been reading and seeing on like YouTube videos and things like that people talk about this stuff is that was a way to get Finn back on board and not feeling like he's got to run away. It was a way to get Finn to commit to the resistance fully. You know, he wasn't a deserter anymore from the First Order. He was now part of the resistance, and her being there and him gonna sacrifice his life to try to blow up that battering ram cannon thing on
Luke was Superman.
yes. Luke was not freaking Superman.
Yeah, I don't care what you say.
Anyway,
that's what
this
happened.
guy didn't even understand what the hell was going on, so he can't talk.
Well, I think you guys had some great opinions, and I've loved this debate. Honestly,
We're getting cut
even
off.
if I'm not a Star Wars fan, I think both of you had some great things to say, and I think we can both say thank you for being on the show.
I am
thank
a
you
Star
for
Wars
having
fan,
us.
and I don't even know what the names of the characters are.
Yeah,
they got me beat down.
But honestly, I'm really excited to see people's comments on
Oh,
both
you
of
will,
you guys'
you will get plenty of
opinions.
comments. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I honestly think, and if you're watching, you should definitely be commenting right now. See the button where it says comment? Do it.
If you agree with Bob, just turn your computer off. If you agree with Paul and myself, then comment
in case
away.
you guys haven't noticed, I'm alone in this fight.
And I just don't care. I don't care.
So we have pro, indifferent, con. I think that's.
Well, we got con and don't really understand the movie, so that's how you
here we go. All right. On that note,
this has been Dogmatic Media
don't
signing
forget
off.
to subscribe on the little buttons down there, like, comment, give us your feedback. Till next time.
Till next time. Bye.